Welcome back. I'm Paul Graney. Has President Trump reshaped the GOP into a working class party? Joining us to discuss is Emel Akan, senior White House correspondent at the Epoch Times, Robin Biro, a Democratic strategist and former Obama regional campaign director. We also have Steve Gruber, a conservative commentator and host of the Steve Gruber Show. Emel, everybody, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. Emel, you wrote a fantastic in-depth article on this subject published in the Epoch Times. How has President Trump redefined the Republican Party's identity in your view?
Thanks, Paul. Great to see you. Yes, I mean, that was an interesting experience. I spoke with Republicans, conservatives, advisors, and union workers for this article and wanted to get their opinion about how Trump shaped the party. And yes, they admit that the party is now a working class party, given the support that they received in 2024, and also higher support he received in 2016, 2020 elections among blue-collar workers. The way the president shaped the party is, unimaginable to some of Republicans. Once were unimaginable, and so they are really surprised to see this change. And also, they are seeing more and more different policies, combination of different policies. For example, they see tax cuts and deregulation and energy dominance combined with some policies considered to be on the left side, like, for example, Trump RX, like, getting ownership in companies, as well as tariffs, high tariffs. So I think these are very interesting changes in the Republican Party. He, for sure, with tariff and with protectionist policies since his first term, departed from Republican Party norms, and that's a big change as well. And that's one of the reasons why working class is more and more supporting President Trump. Just to define working class now, today's working class is defined more by education rather than occupation. So those are individuals without a four-year college degree. And in terms of occupation, they're involved in manual industrial work as well as service-related, retail work. So those are the people who are supporting Trump and supporting his policies.
Right. Robin, in the 2024 election, exit polls, they showed that working class voters favored President Trump. But has he turned the GOP into a working class party?
Well, make no mistake, my party, the Democratic Party, has hemorrhaged support from the working class, in addition to Hispanics and Black Americans, African Americans. So, we've got catching up to do. We also, in the LGBTQ community, we've hemorrhaged support. So I do think that things are shifting. The narrative is shifting. Now, what I think the larger scale is, we've seen the party shift before, especially after the civil rights movement. So I'm wondering now if we're not sort of in the midst of that again, because what I'm seeing is not necessarily true conservatism as we all know it, because at this point, I'm not really sure what they are conserving. I'm looking right now at my little trusty board of the national deficit, which stands right now at $38.2 trillion, $118,884 per citizen, $328,220 per taxpayer. I mean, these are numbers that we haven't seen. And just this past year, his first year of his second term, he's added more. There's been more added to the national deficit than any other president had ever added in just 1 year. So it doesn't look like conservatism to me. So I think maybe the parties are shifting.
Hey, Robin, you've come prepared for this one. Well done. And
Thank
Steve,
you.
a Republican National Committee member, Sean Steele, he said that Trump was able to reconnect the GOP to its working class, blue-collar roots, saying it hasn't happened in over a century. Now, Emel outlined some of the reasons why, but for you, what are some of Trump's policies that exemplify this in your view?
I'm going to echo what Robin said a little bit. Look, all political victories are temporary. And right now, the key word to all voters in America, especially young women, those that turned out for Mamdani in New York, is affordability. And if Donald Trump is not able to deliver on some of the affordability promises he made on the campaign trail in 2024, there is going to be a shift. Young women, 82% voted for Mamdani in New York. Young men break for Donald Trump. Working class people break for Donald Trump. Again, an increase in Black support and Hispanic support. But here is the key. If young people don't feel connected or heard, There's going to be a change again in America in 2026. That's why I say political victories are temporary. There has to be affordability. People that are 18 to 29 years of age have to believe they have a stake in America, have to believe that they can work hard and succeed. And right now, they don't feel heard. They don't feel they can succeed. This is on both parties. Both parties are having internal civil wars, if you will, over different policies. And I don't think this is conservatism. Let's be clear about this. This is populism. The question about 2026 is whether or not the left-wing populism works and wins, or the right-wing populism works and wins. It's going to base almost entirely, I believe, on the economic situation of America about 6 or 8 months from now.
Emel, the government under the Trump administration, you mentioned it, they took some ownership in private companies like Intel, U.S. Steel, I believe. Critics called it state capitalism. Looking forward to getting the guy's opinion on this. But what is the primary concern here?
Yes, this is an important, industrial policy change we are seeing under President Trump, and he's quietly and, also slowly and gradually acquiring stakes in companies. And we saw with Intel, for example, 10% stake in return for grants that they received under the Biden administration, as well as we saw, the revenue sharing models and, agreements that he signed with other chip makers. Also, the administration is heavily investing in rare earth companies, mining companies, to basically correct the situation with supply chains, and they are seeing China as a big risk. But on the other hand, you see more and more libertarians and conservatives, disagreeing with these policies. As Steve just mentioned, there's an internal conflict over some of the policies. But this is one of the areas where you see conservatives and libertarians disagreeing with Trump, because when a government owns a company, they argue that government is losing its ability to be a referee, a good regulator, and could go after the competitors of that company, and it could not fairly regulate that sector. So that is the main argument, and some people within the party agree with that.
And Steve, this sounds more like a pragmatic approach rather than an ideologically conservative approach, maybe what Robin was pointing to a little bit earlier. Do you support the president on this move, and is it helpful?
I think it's suspect. Look, President Trump is transactional. He's always trying to figure out what comes out of the deal. We know that about him. He's not ideologically aligned completely with either side. He is transactional. He's trying to figure out where the best deal can be made, whether it's peace in the Middle East, health savings accounts for people that are not happy with their insurance premiums and the cost of health care in America, or investing in companies. It's not conservative in nature. It's not in line with historic American trends, but he's trying some different things. He's willing to say, look, we've tried these other things. Let's try something different. Again, this brings me back to populism. What's going to work with the American people? I still think the most important thing to voters, not these issues. It's going to be the price of gasoline, whether or not they can put food on the table, what their electric bill is. And so energy policy is going to be incredibly key for young voters and for senior citizens. One of the things that keeps coming up in conversations here is property tax. They feel the property tax is unfair. They're on limited incomes and have incomes that are controlled by their Social Security check, and yet the property taxes continue to rise. It's going to be an election, a referendum on affordability and the future of America and whether people can thrive in this system. It's going to be populist, not conservative or necessarily socialist. But I will tell you this. When Mamdani got elected in New York, a lot of conservatives laughed. They mocked. They should not do that. It's a warning. It's a red flag. It could metastasize across this country if the Republicans don't put forth a better plan.
Robin, what's your take on that? I have heard since the government shutdown, Democrats seem to be more focused on affordability issues than before. What's your take on what Steve just mentioned about Mamdani's win in New York City?
Steve, for one thing, is spot on when he talks about populism versus conservatism. That is exactly what's happening right now with the modern-day Republican Party. And Mamdani, I cautioned the viewers that would be used as a template to take all across the country for the Democratic Party, because we've been suffering losses. And whenever my party suffers losses, we tend to further to the left. And I don't like that at all. I think it's a losing strategy. I'm speaking to you from Atlanta, Georgia. That will not work here in a purple state like Georgia. It won't work in middle America. It might work up north and out west, but it's not going to work for the rest of the country. So the DNC really needs to look at a 50-state strategy and craft policies that work for each individual location, because this is not a one-size-fits-all party, and we can't have a one-size-fits-all approach. We'll lose again.
I think the Mamdani development has just been incredible to watch. Emel, we'll shift gears a little. We know that much of what Trump has been doing with around dependence and security risks involving China has been countering China. It's been kind of at the center of Trump's working class agenda. Is that what you found in your research?
That's correct, and that's why he visited Michigan to mark his 100th day in office. And it was really a remarkable moment, because I was there, and he, opened his speech by saying, they destroy it to benefit Beijing. So that was a clear message that, he's departing from the past presidents, and that's why he's introducing these tariffs, and that he made the case that these tariffs will benefit American workers and bring more jobs, bring factories home, and some do really agree with Trump. I mean, when you speak with union workers, they see the change, they are hopeful, and they support fully President Trump. But on the other hand, of course, these China tariffs are, good because of China's behavior. But some conservatives, free trade advocates, free market advocates say that these tariffs, should be focused more on China rather than other countries. You want to have other allies with you together to fight against China's and other communists and other dictators, misbehavior, trade practices in the global trade, where you see a lot of subsidies, where you see slave labors. So that's not really free trade. So they want to go back to free trade years, lower tariffs years as well. But I see that party is divided on this issue. So it remains to be seen on the affordability question. I agree that this will be a common topic for Trump this year, and we heard J.D. Vance speaking about that as well yesterday during the Fox interview. I think they will be putting a lot of time and effort to explain public what they are doing to lower the costs and what measures they have taken, especially on the housing side as well. They will be trying to address the problems there. Affordability crisis was a major problem for Biden, and it's now coming back, and it's now affecting Trump as well.
Steve, on that point, you've highlighted the importance of affordability, cost of living for American voters. Do voters understand what Trump is doing and appreciate what he's doing around trade and tariffs and rebuilding American manufacturing, even at the risk of increasing prices for Americans in the short term?
I think some Americans understand it, but again, the pain on those young voters is remarkable. They don't buy houses until they're 40. They can't make a rent payment. They've got roommates at 30. This doesn't work for a lot of young people. They're angry. That's why they got behind President Trump. Gen Z did in 2024, November last year. But look, on the topic of China, Americans view war as a binary issue. We're either at war or we're not. That's not the way to look at this. China is an asymmetrical war against us. That's a fact. They're coming at us in the universities. They steal intellectual property. They're coming at us with AI. They're building coal-fired power plants, one a week, ones they don't even use. They just set them aside for future reference. So China's coming at us from every different angle as an asymmetrical war against America. They also use the propaganda machines of TikTok and social media to influence young people and old alike. China is coming at us from every direction. I think that most Americans understand that China is the biggest global threat, not just to the United States, but to the world. I mean, the saying is, of course, everything under heaven is Chinese. I can't say it in Mandarin, but you'll just have to take my word for it. That's basically the takeaway from the CCP. So yes, confronting China, being tough on China is important, but the wild card in all of this is the Supreme Court case. Is Trump going to have the leverage of these tariffs? It's worked well. We've gotten better deals from the UK, better deals from Japan, better deals from South Korea, and better deals from China. But if he's stripped of that power, to use the leverage of tariffs, it could bode very poorly for the United States going forward. Yes, I think people are willing to give him a chance to a point. But look, people are desperate. Affordability is still my word of the week, maybe the word of the year, because this is what's going to drive those young voters that are motivated to say, wait a second, I want a chance. I want a shot at this thing they call the American dream. I want a chance to be independent, to raise a family, to grow old without, fearing the electric bill in the mailbox every month.
Well, Steve, next time you're here, I want to hear that in Mandarin, every word of it.
Every word of it.
And Robin, I want to give you the last word here. Where do we go? We're talking about working class voters here. We're talking about affordability. Let's look forward to the midterms. What's your prediction? What are we looking at for both parties?
The midterms will be interesting. We both have to talk about affordability. I myself have two school-aged children, both teenagers. One will be going to college soon. And just like Steve alluded to, I'm worried about what happens with them when they become young adults. I mean, I bought my first home when I was 21. They won't be able to do that now. I'm kind of worried that they're going to be living with me into their mid-30s. And I think many Americans around the country are wondering the same thing. We've got to give them hope. Hope for a brighter future, at least the similar future to what we had. So we've got to talk for affordability, just like Steve said. That's the word of the day.
Robin, Emel, Steve, thank you all so much.
Thank
you.